All right, great to see you guys. First off, I'm just going to say you're probably going to see these glasses a lot more often. I'm cluing in that yeah, I'm going to need them. So I've got the lights on right now until I kind of clue in a little bit better about reflections and everything. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, great to see you all. First off the bat would be Charles Latora. You were here super early. Great to see you. Thank you, Tolemykus. Let's start off with your quote right off the bat, and I can get to other people in a minute here. I've often read and heard of how battlefields looked, but I had not the slightest idea of how it was until I saw these. Private Robert Haynes, June 1917, Americans first experiencing the front lines. Thank you very much, Tolemykus. I really love that you've been 2 weeks in a row now getting quotes that are like, you know, well, relevant to what we're doing right now and time-wise. Anyways, great to see you, William Arends. I did grab your ATA. We'll talk about that in a second. Great to see you as well, Brian R. Smith, Harro, Bosma. Oh yeah, we'll be talking about you as well. And awesome to see you, Meandering Mike. And I'm glad that I watched a little bit. I haven't watched the whole thing of your 30-minute wargaming tour there in your man cave, because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know about that game that you were in Flanders Field. And I was like, wait a minute. And I went, took a quickie look at it. And I was like, my God, does this ever look like a really freaking amazing? It looks really good. Anyways, let me add this to the stage. I have to remove this one, and then I can add this one. Excellent. I'm going to get rid of your quote for now. Thank you. It's interesting, Tolemykus. At first, I thought, let's see if I can do that thing again. No, we'll just leave it up. I'm getting sick and tired of trying to fart around with the windows and whatnot. At first, when I was reading your quote that you got us, Tolemykus, I was thinking maybe it was that school teacher or whatever. Remember that had to sign the armistice there back in November or whatever for the Germans and whatnot, and the French brought them through to show the devastating. Anyways, here we go. Welcome everyone. Hope you're doing super great. Please let me know what you've been up to this past week. It would be super awesome to know. By the way, Brian R. Smith, are you getting any of the smoke stuff there? Because you're only an hour and a half east of me, roughly southeast of me, so northeast or something like that. It would be interesting to know if you're getting it. I'm shocked that we're getting this much smoke. And I mean, I think it's from Saskatchewan. Anyways, live stream fact checker. Hopefully, yep, you can see that. Harro, Bosma, you are right. And like I said, it was mind-boggling that last week I was mentioning, I was like, wait a minute, I don't even know if there were Serbian planes in the game World Undone 1914 Serbia, because like I said, I was one of the play testers, for goodness sakes. Anyways, I went and checked it, and also Meandering Mike was mentioning that there's not a calendar sheet on Board Game BGG yet. I'll maybe pop that on. Anyways, you're right, Harro, Bosma, that both sides do get airplanes. I was really surprised. Anyways, Russians, I'm just going through a zillion things super quick here. I did put a lot of the stuff in the sources and links, so at least that way we can go that way. Yeah, Harro, I thought that was kind of funny. Oh, it is. Okay, I'm going to pop your thingamajig in here. It is smoky and hazy. Yesterday, Montreal recorded the second worst air in the world after. Really? Holy Moses, I didn't know that. I was surprised. I didn't clue in Brian R. Smith until 2 days ago or whatever. And I was wondering why I was feeling kind of weird in the afternoon. Like yesterday, I said, screw this. I'm not doing anything. I went up to the shops early in the morning. That was it. Anyways, Russian Special Order number 1. I think it's got something to do with the Soviet or something, telling the soldiers you're only allowed to follow orders of the generals or whatnot as long as it doesn't disobey whatever. If anybody knows any more about Russian Special Order number 1, remember when we go through a lot of these things, I'm trying to throw this out for you guys as well to kind of go and find some info for me and whatnot and share it with all of us. That would be super great. And what the heck? What are you saying there, Charles Latora? I spent most of the evening putting up all my miniatures. Oh goodness, I noticed that yeah, you've got you were doing your 15 millimeter and 28 millimeter whatever. Anyways, let's get back to this. I noticed this week, and this kind of found that a bit surprising. I don't know if anybody else finds this surprising, but one of the articles this week in the Globe mentioned that the Romanians were fighting with the Austro-Hungarians, I think in the Italian front. I was like, what is going on here? I didn't know any of that. Also, there was a collision between a German U-boat and a British submarine in the English Channel on the 19th of April. I thought that was pretty neat to hear. Not a head-on. I think one of them hit like off to the side and went up on the bow or something for a bit. Anyways, I just thought that was kind of neat. A German denial article. Let's go to it super quick. Let me see if I can find it. And then I can show it here. It's nothing amazing. I'm going to go into my... It's just, yet again, I just find these things rather interesting to find out about. Stop the screen. I'm going to present the screen to here it is. So this is just an article that I noticed this week, and I thought it was rather interesting. It says official denial was made of report received here from London that German naval forces had taken possession of the island of Margarita off the coast of Venezuela for the purpose of establishing a submarine base. Anyways, I just thought that was rather interesting. So I'm going to present. I don't know why I did that again. Jeepers. Hold on here. I got to get back to the narrative. Anyways, like I said, William Arends, what I'm going to try to do, you were saying that you were having it's been a busy week for you and whatnot. And yet again, like I've said before, I'm just super grateful that you provide any material for us. It's fantastic. Secondly is if we don't get to your material, if we don't get to your ATA at this live stream, don't get upset, because in a sense, I'm not saying I'm happy that it was a bit, we may not get to it. It's because I want to record it and actually do like little footnotes and so on and so forth. So that way I can put it separately on the YouTube channel. So that way people can watch the ATA separately, or at least if it's going to be connected with the after hours. I'd really like to do that because I want to give you proper credit for this type of stuff. Anyways, so we'll see where we're going to get to, because I really want to also get towards Tolemykus's material, especially the one with, I think it's UC21 or whatever, the mine layer. I went off and looked into Wikipedia there, Tolemykus's logic puzzles. Anyways, yes, yet again this week, there was numerous amphibious assaults by the Russians were mentioned along in the Black Sea there, south of southwest of Trebizond and whatnot. I just found that rather interesting, and I didn't know anything about this. And yet again, it would be, I'm like, wouldn't that be interesting? Kind of like maybe another gaming type of scenario. I don't know if we're going to zip through this quickly, because I really want to make sure that I kind of get through all the material as much as at least show you what I would like to maybe discuss. And then, like I said, if you see things, please let me know. If you go, hey, I'd rather, please, pop that, put it up in priority. Great to see you, Hizzy Cat. Hope you're doing well. Where are we here? Like I said, Teuton's offering enticing bait article. Here's this is going to be a thing that I've been looking at this week. Anyways, that I started getting. Oh my God, I can't talk about it. Of course, that's part of the trivia thing. So. Oh my God, I almost gave it away. I got to make sure I don't screw up here. I don't think so. Germany was trying to negotiate a separate peace with Russia back in April of 1917. I don't know. Maybe you guys do. I'd like to know. The Zeppelin destroyer article. Yeah, let's go and take a look at this person here. Let's see if I can find him. Just because I did find it rather interesting. I'm going to present the screen. Stop the screen. And I'm going to present this, and then this, and this. Toot again. Hello, Meandering Mike Q. There it is, and you guys can see it. Zeppelin destroyer reprisal victim. The reason why, well, one is because what the Germans are doing here, as well as this is kind of like, remember at the very beginning there when the Romanians were doing that with some of the German and Austro-Hungarian, or maybe Austro-Hungarian troops, or civil servants and whatnot. They're putting them in, like using them as basically human shields and whatnot, knowing to stop them from bombing certain towns. Anyways, Lieutenant Robinson of Britain missing for time, located at Freiburg. Lieutenant William Leif Robinson of the Royal Flying Corps, who was a prisoner in Germany, recently was transferred to Freiburg as a reprisal for air raids against that city by Entente aviators, according to the Central News. Lieutenant Robinson was awarded the Victoria Cross for bringing down a Zeppelin during a raid on London. He was captured by the Germans in April of this year. A dispatch from Berlin on May 12th said that the British and French army officers held prisoners by the Germans had been sent to Freiburg as a reprisal for air raids on that city. And like I said, I just thought I lost my Zeppelin to this. Really? Oh, cool. That is so neat to know. I'm not sure, Hissy Cat, is he the one that was the very first one that that did shoot down a Zeppelin? I'm not sure if that's the case. If you know, I would love to know. Anyways, we're going to present. I got to get back to the thingamajig, and we're going to go to there. Oops. And here we go. And awesome. The International Women's League at The Hague in 1915. I want to look up a bit more on that. I'm not going to tell you why. Well, you'll find out soon enough. Elizabeth Henderson Tough. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Maybe I hope this is not being a bad thing. But okay, look at her name, Elizabeth Henderson Tough. All right. Now, like I said, maybe I'm being a bad person because it's like, wow, geez, you're making fun of her looks. But that's all I got to say. Hold on here. Let me get into. I'm like. The name says it all. It's yowzers. Let me get into, well, maybe you guys will find her amazing looking and I should just be quiet. But I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to stop the screen. But I just thought, I was like, I love it. I love these things when these pop up. So here we go. What do you guys think? I'll make her whatever. I was just like, yowzers. I shouldn't do this. Oh, brother. Anyways, and it's sad too because it just says here that she died from illness contracted on duty in June 1917. There was there. And oh, you also had bad air quality, William. It's probably even worse than us. And my goodness, you're. They were saying that anybody over the age of whatever, you have to be like really relaxed. Whatever. I was even myself just getting off the illness here. I'm going to stop that. That's terrible for me to keep doing that to that person. Anyways, so I'm sorry. I just was like, holy cow, you are tough looking. Anyways, there we go. And they're going to pop you off your thing here. The Catastrophe by A.F. Kerensky, because I was looking into the Kerensky offensive, which is coming in July, noticing an awful lot lately in the articles and whatnot. I think we've been talking about that as well. That, oh my gosh, thanks a lot, Tolemykus. I didn't see your comment there, so now I did. Order number 1 was marked the beginning of the military's political radicalization and played a critical role in the eventual Bolshevik seizure of power in November 1917. I know that right now, a lot of times it is causing confusion in the ranks, and there is some morale issues and whatnot because they're like, well, who do we follow the general? Like, what's going on? Is this like part of like against special order number 1 and so on and so forth? The International Socialist Congress in Copenhagen, 1910. These are all things I want to start looking into. The Cambridge History of the First World War. Oh, brother, how can we do this? I'm going to stop the screen. I'm going to go into another picture. Now, I can't do a very good scan of this book anymore because it's too bloody. These things here, they're really expensive and I don't want to screw them up. But I wanted you guys to see a little bit of this and get you excited a little bit because I've been having a hard time finding certain things about the socialist movements, whatnot, and the various peace conferences that were trying to be done and so on and so forth. But anyway, so I wanted to show you a little bit of the scan. I'm going to make it so you can a bit bigger. Like I said on the side here, you can't really see it a bit more. But I just wanted, I'm not going to read the whole bloody thing out, but I just wanted you to kind of think, maybe I'll post it on the website and I'll try to make it better, whatever. But just talks about, like, for example, like what this section anyways in this part of this book is going to be about is the various peace initiatives and whatnot, and why it didn't go, why they didn't happen. And of course, I'm really excited by this. Let's see if we can find the next one. Boink. Yeah, there. Number 7. How to stop the war and how to prevent another war from breaking out in the future. Throughout the war, actors, blah, blah, blah. And then, it was the last bit here. I think it was this bit I wanted you guys to see, which I found really interesting. You didn't know this. Was that it had never been, and this was, I guess, the first time that peace had never been talked about openly between the belligerents during a war, just half-heartedly and whatnot. Anyways, goes into a little bit more, and then like here, we know that all these efforts came to naught, and future research could uncover the evolution, what we understand, and so on and so forth. I just find this really compelling, and I really want to get into it. All right, you know what? We're going to get back to this, and let's get into the trivia questions, so that way I can start talking a little bit more about some stuff. But I do want to. Oh, it's my neighbors are doing something interesting. Sounds like in the kitchen. So there we go. If you guys can see these people of interest, and if you guys know of any of them, I'd love you to. I don't know how to do this. Maybe I should have put them in the comments. These are all people that I'm rather interested in finding out about. Also, if you guys could find, I don't know if was there such thing as the International song. I mentioned, I saw that mentioned in the thing, and I didn't see it. Here's your engagement question of the week. If Russia had got out of the war now, what do you think would have happened to the others still fighting? I mean, everybody. So just throwing that out. And here we go. Like I said, look at the three leaders right there, 67, 66, and 65. But everybody's doing pretty darn good. I think there's some interesting little fights going on in all the little levels. Anyways, let's get into the first clue, and I can also get into popping it on. Hold on, I got to get rid of this thing. Try to get rid of as many things as possible. And here's your first clue. And I'll put it in, like I said, I'll pop it in the boink. There it is in the banners, and I'll put it in the comments. So your first clue, and for anybody new who doesn't look like it from the commenters, is that, remember, you get just 1 point even for guessing. So your first clue is, my name seems to have been first mentioned back in the 13th century. Who or what am I? And I will give you your second clue, and then we're going to go off to take a look at the World War I narrative logic puzzles. Yep, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to get rid of me, so that way we can make that bigger. Awesome. And then I'm going to give you your second clue. And your second clue is, I became the capital of my country in the 15th century. Who am I? And I'll put that in the comments. Oh, did you know that now that StreamYard allows me to, if I want to, I can show all the comments on the stage. I don't know if you guys are into that, but let me know if you guys would like to see all your comments appearing on the stage and not just on the sidebar. Please let me know. Charles Latora says Paris. And you're going to get a point, but you are incorrect. And excellent. Off we go. Hold on here. And I got to make sure that I'm giving everybody the right one. And Tolemykus says Berlin, and so does William Arends. Both of you guys are getting a point, and both of you guys are incorrect, unfortunately. But thank you for doing your thing. Anyways, so remember we were going at, whoa, this is an excellent one. Brian R. Smith says Edinburgh, but you are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. And then I'm going to get your next, William Arends. Ooh, I like that one. William Arends says Warsaw, but you are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. Hold on here. I'm going to get you guys your other ones here. I just want to make sure that I put it in the comments. And then I'll get to you, Charles Latora, in a minute. I think you put in your little what are you you're on here. And boink. Plague reached me in the 18th century. And Charles Latora says Rome. You are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. His cat says artillery. You are going to get a point, but you are incorrect. And Meandering Mike says Munchkin Land. And wouldn't that be amazing if he was correct, but he is incorrect. And there you go. And here's your fourth one. Ooh, Charles Latora says Budapest. I like it, but you are incorrect. But you're going to get another point. Boy, are you ever rocking up the points, that's for sure. Harro Bosma says Budapest as well, and you're getting a point. All right. And Brian R. Smith says Constantinople, and you're getting a point, but you are incorrect. William Arends says Moscow, and you're getting a point, but you were incorrect. And I'm going to give you your next one. And let me pop it in the banners. I just popped it in the comments. A coup occurred on my streets in the 19th century. Who am I? Or what am I? All right. Interesting. No one's got it yet. I thought for sure. All right. Now, Tolemykus says, I don't know if I can say that right. Liechtenstein, but but you are incorrect. But you're going to get a point, Tolemykus. Hissy Cat says London. Oh, I like that one, but you are incorrect. You're going to get a point though. Charles Latora says Madrid. You're going to get a point. Hold your horses here. I got to pop you down. And here goes your next one. Then I'm going to put it in the banners. I held the 1912 Summer Olympics, and I'll put it in the comments as well. Harro Bosma says, Sophia, you're going to get a point, but you are incorrect. All right. I've only got one more. Oh, Harro Bosma says Belgrade, and you are going to get a point, but you are incorrect. All right. And your last clue was I was to hold the third Zimmerwald Conference in 1917. And I'll put that in the comments, in the things as well. All right. Boom! 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 Lots of people get it. Holy smokes. All right, hold your horses here. Now everybody and their dogs getting it. This is awesome. And your last clue is, like I said, was I was to hold the third Zimmerwald Conference in 1917. Now, could someone please let me know if it actually was held? I know that there was a socialist conference to be held in Stockholm in 1917, but it kept getting postponed and postponed and postponed, and eventually it fell apart. It was supposed to occur in September. It was supposed to occur a lot earlier, but it never did. Anyways, hold your horses here. Oh, WNN, great to see you, man. It's been ages. And Gamers with Coffee Ashley, great to see you as well. Oh my gosh, super great to see you. Hold on here. I want to make sure that I get everybody's points here. So, Harro Bosma, you're going to get another point because I didn't see everybody at that point. Brian R. Smith, you got it. You got Stockholm. You were the first one to put it in. Now, here's the thing. According to my little world, Harro Bosma, Meandering Mike, William Arends, and Brian R. Smith all came in at 11:21. But you all did Stockholm, which is freaking amazing. So, anyways, I'm gonna and the reason why I use Stockholm is due to the fact that this week, like I said, there's been a lot of brouhaha. Here, I'm gonna put me on just for a tiny little bit. Excuse me. Hold on, let me put the answer in the whatever, even though everybody and their dog knows what I just mentioned. There we go to banners. And there it is. There it is. And there's another. Oh, okay. There we go. William Arends says he believes he got it first. Don't you worry. I'll give you your points for sure. That is for sure. Okay, so Tolemykus says no, the third Zimmerwald Conference was never convened. Okay, thank you very much. Because I was having a hard time. So why I was saying I was having a hard time with this is the fact that, and hold on, let's see if I can get rid of the banners for now. Anyways, there's been a lot of talk about it, and I'm starting to notice there's been a lot of, I don't know if we can find it. Let's see I don't know if I have any pictures. No, I don't. We're just going to have to talk about it. Oh, okay, so WNN. So this is what I'm curious about, because I know there was a split. There's the Zimmerwald group, and then there's the ISC or something. I'm not really sure about this. Yeah, Charles Latora, this is what I'm thinking about. Spreading the love with the things. Oh, thank you very much. Here we go. The third and final of the anti-war socialist conference that had included Zimmerwald and Keinthal It was held in Stockholm on the 5th September to the 12th, 1917. So there was another thing as well, though, as I mean, that was that split. I think the Zimmerwaldians, that was part of the Bolsheviks. They stayed that way, but there was another group. This is all new stuff to me, but this is, I just find this really fascinating due to the fact that the governments are bloody, from what I've been reading anyways, are very concerned with, especially like, for example, the French are like, holy smokes, wait a minute. We've got French mutinies occurring on along the Western Front there after the Nivelle offensive collapsed. We just had this, a lot of socialists, well, we got the Russian Revolution, a lot of socialist chit chat. Then we have this extra thing. There's a huge amount of war weariness going on. And now we have this socialist conference going on, potentially talking about a negotiated peace. And I think a lot of the French, remember, they're also very fragile with their government still. I mean, that was another reason why they wanted to go ahead with the Nivelle offensive. I can't remember his name, but he didn't. He was worried his government was going to collapse. All those pressures, and you can start seeing now. There's a ton of articles right now just blasting all the socialists, like, oh, you know, whatever. The French are not handing out passports. Premier Ribot's like, no, we're not going to hand out passports to these people that want to go, whatever. They're sending also, this is on a side note from what I find out, but anyways, and then you find out that a lot of the I don't know, Union of Steamship or whatever are refusing to send anybody that is a socialist going to like Petrograd or Stockholm or whatever. All that type of stuff is happening. Then you've the governments are like supposedly terrified right now that Russia is going to pull out, and we know the Kerensky offensive is about to kick in. Hopefully we'll show a little tiny bit about that. There you go. Yes, exactly. Even though at first he seemed to have been a little, he was going towards them a little bit. Everybody starts pulling out, and then also now you're going to start. I've been noticing, because I was like, who are these people? And that's like those little lists I'm going to show. Maybe I should put it on here. Hold on. We'll go back to the thing. Oh, Harro, Bosma, you silly goose. Hold on here. Let's go to this there. So I wanted to get back to the thing here is these people here. So a lot of these people I know are involved with this. I'll try to, oops, sorry, I'm going the wrong way there. So these guys here, I'll get rid of your thing so that way people can see a bit more. So anyways, these people here I know that are some like Angelica Babalanov. I think she was on the German sealed train, maybe with Lenin or one of them. I don't, all these things I don't know. Like I said, these are people of interest I would like to find out a little bit more about. But anyways, now you find out that the government, from what I've been seeing anyways, the government, a lot of the governments are sending in these labor or, labor or social representatives to go to Russia. Like we've seen articles about the Americans doing it, the French doing it, the British doing it, and trying to sway the Russians. Whoa. Don't get out of the war and so on and so forth. And they're, anyways, and then we got the Kerensky offensive, and Lord knows what happens. What happened here? Freaking amazing. Oh yeah. Well, you with WINN probably know orders of magnitude way more than I do. That's for sure about this stuff. Anyways, let's go and take a quickie look at the Kerensky offensive, which is just about to occur in July. Anyways, remember, like I said, if there is such a thing as the International song, I would love to know about it. And let me go to make sure I've got pop it in there, boink, and we can go to here. I just wanted to, because I didn't know that it was going to be involved. And the reason being I wanted to find out a bit more about this, well, just because, is that I was curious if any game out there actually has the Kerensky offensive as a scenario. I couldn't find one, but I didn't do too much of a look. But anyways, I'll read this out super quickly. Kerensky vainly hoped that a successful offensive would both prove the new government's value to the Allies and its own legitimacy to the Russian people. And this is just a few weeks away, man. Alexei Brusilov commanded the new Russian offensive, hoping to repeat his success of the year before, but the Russian army had deteriorated significantly in 1 year, with supply and morale problems having worsened significantly. Brusilov also found that some of his 1916 methods did not work as well in 1917. But anyways, I didn't realize that it's going to be, you can, like, I didn't know like it's going to be this far into like where Romania is and all this stuff. I didn't realize it was that, like, there's Cernovitz. I can see it, so I can see where it is, but wowzers, they really push them back, don't they? My, oh my. Anyways, I was, oh, cool. Thank you, Meandering Mike. I would love to go to, I'm going to go and see if I can find then a link for YouTube and whatnot, and see if it's an easy enough tune to do. I'll see if I can get my Tin Whistle Traveler guy to do it. That would be kind of cool. Anyways, let's get to the Tolemykus's logic thing. Very quickly, though, we're going to super duper quick and look at another thing of Tolemykus's thingamajig. Hold on here. Oh, you guys are doing great stuff for me. Thanks so much. I love this. Is a left-wing anthem. It has been a standard of the socialist movement since the late 19th century when the second... I didn't know any of this, so this is awesome. Thanks, man. Okay, I'll pop your second little thing in here. This is great. Adopted it as the official anthem. The title arises from the First International, an alliance of workers which held a congress in 1864. Cool. Oh, really? Okay. Oh, my God. Like, I'm sorry, guys. We're going to have to put your comment. Maybe I should have this thing. Let's see if I can do it. Let's see what happens. Just temporarily. Let's see what happens. Do I have to do anything? I hide this. Now what happens? Did it work? Live comments from viewers will appear on screen during your stream. Keep the conversation going and make your audience part of the experience. Well, I'm trying. Let's see here. We'll just put your other stuff there. Ah, it did. See if I hide it. Oh, it's super duper tiny though. That's hilarious. Look how tiny it is. Good Lord. That's ridiculous. I'll get rid of it then. Maybe it's if I got to have it on a different window or something. That's funny. Anyways, there we go. Okay, I was curious about that, Meandering Mike, if there was some kind of French revolutionary thing. Well, I mean, as well, just due to the fact that it was a French thing. Anyways, we're looking at 11:32. We're doing pretty good. Thank you. Boy, oh boy, you guys are all over the place here, man. Thanks. Okay, we're going to hide this, and I want to get back to this little bit. Let's just look at this super quickly. This is from Tolemykus, when I mentioned a few weeks ago when I wanted to find out, like, because I just was like, how in the world does Germany and Austria-Hungary become really kind of good friends after the Austro-Prussian War? I was just like, it just didn't really make much sense to me. So anyways, there we go. Germany and Austria-Hungary were once enemies, exactly, during the Austro-Prussian War of 1866. But they became allies in the years leading up to World War I due to a major realignment of European power politics. Here's why their alliance formed despite past hostilities. And thank you again, Tolemykus. Hopefully everybody can see this nicely. Shared strategic interests. After German unification under Prussian leadership in 1871, Germany became the dominant power in Central Europe. Austria-Hungary, weakened by its loss in 1866, recognized that opposing Germany further would be futile. Instead, both empires saw advantages in aligning against common threats, especially Russia. Fear of Russia. Russia was expanding its influence in the Balkans, an area Austria-Hungary considered vital to its own security and future. Germany, too, saw Russia as a threat to the balance of power in Europe. This shared concern helped drive the two powers together. On a side note, I think there's right now, I'm not sure if they've done it yet, but I think the Russians are about to release the papers, like the secret treaties and whatnot that's been going on with the Allies. I do know that the French right now, like Ribot, their Premier Ribot, is kind of like, oh, any stories you hear about that, it's a bunch of BS and so on and so forth. I think they're shit in their drawers right now. Anyways, we'll find out in a little while. Anyways, the dual alliance of 1879. In response to Russian moves and increasing tension in Europe, Germany and Austria-Hungary signed the dual alliance in 1879. This treaty promised mutual defense if either was attacked by Russia. It was the foundation of the Triple Alliance: Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Okay, I'm going to let you guys do your thing off to the side there, or I won't read it out. Is what I'll do. I'll just put you off to the side. But I want people to see this stuff. Bismarck's diplomacy. Otto Hus, who seems like a bloody genius, doesn't he? Otto von Bismarck, the German chancellor, worked to keep Austria-Hungary as a stable partner on Germany's eastern border. He saw a strong alliance with Austria as essential to keeping France isolated and maintaining German security. I don't know what you guys know about Bismarck, probably a lot more than I do, but he seems like I said, a bloody genius. I don't know. Mutual dependence by 1914. By the time World War I began, both empires were deeply entangled militarily and diplomatically. Austria-Hungary needed German backing to stand against Serbia and Russia. Germany needed Austria-Hungary to help maintain its strategic position in Central and Eastern Europe. Their alliance was less about friendship and more about cold strategic calculation. Excellent. Thank you so much, Tolemykus. We got to that, boink, and I'm gonna get that here. Just hold your horses because I want to show. What do I want to show? There's a few things I do want to show. That it's probably on the links. It is because remember after Harro, Bosma and whatnot, when I was completely blown away, and when we started talking about Serbians and you guys started throwing out Serbian facts left, right, and flip and center, I was like, holy smokes. Anyway, so I went off to some links to take a look at some stuff. Like I said, I did post them in the sources and links. Oh my God. There's on the 20th, I'm just going to tell you what it is. On Saturday, June 14th, the World War I Historical Association is going to have a talk called A Unique World War I Bombing Campaign, Austro-Hungarian Flying Boats in the Adriatic Sea. Oh my God, I can't flip and wait. So that's next Saturday at 1:30 Eastern. Holy Christ. I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. Anyways. Like, sign me up, Scotty. Hold on here. Let's get to this. All right. So anyways, this is, okay, I showed you this, and I'll get to this, boink. So anyways, I was looking into this, and this is, I found this little place, Brit Modeler, and this person shows this book. And I guess it's the REP Type F in Royal Serbian Air Squadron. It says early aviation is a fascinating subject, so I was pleased to see this new book. It covers the REP Type F, a machine that I had not previously heard of. Comes from the French designer manufacturers Robert Esnault-Pelterie, as well as airplanes. He designed and built his own aero engines and blah, blah, blah. And anyways, he talks about this, and I guess it's maybe a Serbian only-ish issued plane or whatnot. I'm not really sure, but I wanted to let you guys know. And then one other little, there was a couple of, this one, I can't remember why. Oh, yes. I think it's because one of those one of the viewers on my, for the post Can Games thingamajig, was talking about colors for SPI, and I've been doing that and getting into that and whatnot. Anyways, I found this website, and I thought you guys would want to take a look at it. It looks like you can buy all the old counters and so on and so forth. But anyways, I put that in the sources and links if you guys are interested in taking a look. I just wanted to let you guys know. As you can see, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I was trying to look at for the official colors and so on and so forth. Is there anything else? I want to make sure that we're not going to get screwed over here. Yes, that Gamers with Coffee did a video for the 1914 Avalon Hill game. Oh, thank you. Yes, WNN, exactly. Thank you very much. I know I can put your extra thing on there. There's some, the failure of the Kerensky offensive. Maybe let's take a look at this one. Was it this one here? And then this one I thought was a nice link. And like I said, anyways, I did put in the sources and links the Gamers with Coffee video there where Greg opens up, unboxes the Avalon Hill game, which I had no clue about. Looked freaking, I mean, I knew about it, but I didn't know it had all these different ways of playing the game, which I thought was totally cool. Anyways, I wanted you guys to also see this. military history of Serbia, the Serbian Air Force history since formation. Like I said, I put this in the sources and links if you guys are interested in taking a look. And maybe one more. Let's go to BGG very quickly because I wanted you guys to take a look at the In Flanders Field. This is the game that Meandering Mike had on his video thing, and I was like, what in the world is this? This looks really interesting. There's a nice little video, but this looks like I don't know, this just looks very interesting. There's something here. I'm like, I want to find out more about the game mechanisms. So each player here, and you got to get to your end and whatnot, and it seems like you've got event cards, and you've got to use your resources properly. But if anybody knows anything about this, I'd love to find out about it. And then we're going to go to that, boink, boink, and then I'm going to get rid of this for now, and then we're going to go to the World War I narrative thing. Stop the screen, present the screen, and then we can get to it. Right on. All right. Like this, you guys can see that. Oh, I'll put me a little bit. Hopefully that you guys can see that. So remember, this was about the disappearance of the Iron Serpent. The Russian Empire was collapsing under internal revolution. The Iron Serpent was a heavily armored Austro-Hungarian train. And, thank you, William Arends. Helped by the Bismarck, which ensured a German state with Protestant majority. The idea to include Austria. Oh my God, all this stuff you guys, I'm just leaving your thing there and letting you guys talk because I can't comment on stuff I don't know anything about. Anyways, let's get into, as an Austro-Hungarian intelligence officer, what is the best course of action to do? The Central Powers had only hours to react before Russian forces located the missing train. A quick response could recover Petrov and the weapons, or at least prevent enemy forces from using them. So what do you do? Do you send a rapid response cavalry unit to sweep the railway lines and search for survivors? That's what I thought. That's what I was going to do. Bribe a local Ukrainian faction to recover the train before Russian forces can seize it. No, I remember we've always been discussing that. That's not a good thing to do with these guys. C, deploy, because you can't trust people like that. Deploy a sabotage team to destroy the train before its cargo falls into enemy hands. That to me sounds a little too Mission Impossible-ish. Use the radio transmissions to spread disinformation, convincing the Russian train was lost in a different sector. Yeah, that kind of sounds like I'd maybe want to do something like that. Attempt a direct rescue mission, infiltrating enemy territory with a small elite unit to extract Petrov. Yet again, that sounds a little too Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. Not probably a good idea to do it. And then, anyways, let's go into what the best course of action, because I want to get to the next thing and not run out of time for other things. The best answer was C, which really blew me away. Deploy a sabotage team to destroy the train before its cargo falls into enemy hands. While a cavalry search would work, it was too slow. If the train was in enemy hands, action was needed immediately. I didn't think about that. Bring local forces. B was risky. Darn right, bribing local forces. As Ukrainian factions had divided loyalties and might not cooperate. Yeah, they'll just take your money and lie. Spreading disinformation, D, would mislead enemies, but wouldn't secure the weapons or Petrov. Oh, I love it. You're not ready. Oh, did we do, we already did your thing there. But don't forget, Meandering Mike, there's going to be a brand new option after in a minute, just to let you know, by destroying the train. Direct mission E was dangerous as the train's exact location was still unknown. And option F, so you're going to have to do it. You have to get ready for your next option F in a minute here. Send the clown car down the track to make a distraction while the train slips down a spur line. And let's be honest, there's something wrong with clowns. Unless you guys are a clown, one of you guys are a clown in as your profession, then sorry. I do still think clowns are a bit weird. That's all I got to say. But destroying the train, the Central Powers prevented Russian factions from gaining valuable intelligence and weapons, while also denying enemy forces the ability to use the train itself for further operations. Though Petrov was lost, the mission ultimately ensured that vital Austro-Hungarian resources did not fall into enemy hands, preventing a greater strategic loss. I do know that, on a side note, with the sidebar comments, Gamers with Coffee, when they do their show, they use a different streaming software, and their banner is a lot better. Maybe I have to do something funky with the windows. I have no idea. Well, you are you, Tolemykus? Well, well, well. Oh, there is help for you. There is help. The Mystery of UC-12, a covert naval rescue mission, 1917. I'll find out later on. I didn't read your whole thing, but I went and decided to take a look about UC-12, and it was quite neat to find out about it. I'm not going to talk about it yet because I don't know if you did. By 1917, the war at sea had escalated dramatically, with German U-boats threatening Allied supply lines across the Atlantic and Mediterranean. The British Royal Navy, desperate to counter the submarine menace, relied on covert intelligence missions to track and eliminate U-boat threats before they could wreak havoc on merchant shipping. One such mission revolved around UC-12, a German-type UC-2 mine-laying submarine. I love these coastal submarines. I think they're so cool because you can remember, take them apart and bring them across on trains. They did that. That's how they got some in the Black Sea, for goodness sakes. 4 of them secretly operating in the Western Mediterranean. I remember the first time, though, when I read this, I thought it was intact. And I was like, what the hell? Seeing like some farmer or peasant seeing this submarine on a train must have just been it's in parts. Anyways, originally commissioned by the German Imperial Navy, UC-12 had been transferred to the Austro-Hungarian. Okay, so you guys do talk about it. Austro-Hungarian Navy. But its last mission had been ended in disaster. The submarine reportedly sank off the coast of Italy near Taranto in March 1917, following an unknown malfunction or attack. And you are absolutely correct, Tolemykus, based on the wiki article that I read. Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat that at the time when they gave this is before they gave that submarine to the Austro-Hungarians, way before then. Remember when when the Italians were technically at war with the Austro-Hungarians, but were not at war with the Germans. So they gave them the submarine, and then they could switch it over to Austro-Hungarian hands. And the Italians were like, I don't know about this kind of thing. Anyways, I love this type of stuff. Anyways, however, British intelligence intercepted a coded Austro-Hungarian transmission weeks later, suggesting UC-12 had not been destroyed at all. Instead, it had been captured and refitted by an unknown faction, possibly Italian partisans or rogue German operatives. Oh, cool. The Royal Navy feared the worst. The submarine had been salvaged and was now operating under false colors. It could launch surprise attacks on unsuspecting Allied convoys. Way cool. A small Royal Navy destroyer, HMS Swift, was ordered to investigate the wreck site. Upon arrival, the crew picked up a weak distress signal in German, but it was unclear whether the signal was genuine or a trap. Intelligence reports were contradictory. One source suggested Austro-Hungarian forces. Are you getting ready for option F, Meandering Mike? One source suggested Austro-Hungarian forces were trying to recover the vessel for further use. Another claimed Italian divers had stripped the wreck and left it abandoned. A third, more alarming report indicated the submarine had been secretly refloated and was preparing to attack Allied ships. With limited time and the risk of falling into a trap, the Royal Navy had to act immediately before the situation spiraled out of control. Question: as the commander of HMS Swift, what is the best course of action? A, send a diving team to investigate the wreck and recover intelligence on UC-12's condition. I'm going to say no. That sounds risky. And I don't even know if they had good diving equipment back then. B, fire depth charges immediately to ensure UC-12 is destroyed, regardless of who controls it. I don't know if they had depth charges yet, did they? I know that the Americans are working on some really good depth charges right now, but I don't know if we'll find out, won't we? C, attempt to make radio contact and verify the distress signal before taking further action. Lay a naval minefield around the wreck to prevent enemy salvage operations. Oh, I kind of like that one. E, withdraw and call for reinforcements to conduct a larger scale search of the area. And we're waiting for option F. Clues and false reports. And for every minute that goes by without, I was just going to say, I'm going to deduct a point from Meandering Mike. We don't have to now because he just came up with a monster option F. Option F, send an envoy to Atlantis. I was wondering if it was going to be something about mermaids or something, so this is excellent. Send an envoy to Atlantis and request that Namor use dolphin squadrons to search for and destroy the renegade vessel. Search for Nemo. Yes, excellent. Where are we here? Clues and false reports. Thank you, Meandering Mike. I kind of like option F now. Fishermen in Taranto claim to have seen lights near the wreck site at night, suggesting possible salvage attempts. A decoded German telegram. I don't want to get rid of option F here, though, but I have to put your thing on soon enough, WNN, or let other people see it for a while. A decoded German telegram mentioned a missing U-boat crew, but did not specify whether UC-12 had been recovered. An intercepted Italian naval report stated a group of unknown divers had been seen near the site, but their identity was unconfirmed. British intelligence believed German U-boat operations in the Mediterranean were increasing, making the situation more urgent. The weak distress signal seemed genuine, but had interference, possibly indicating an intentional jamming attempt. Discussion topics, and I'll put on WNN's first bit there. How did submarines change naval warfare during World War I? Oh my goodness, what a question that is. What role? I mean, that could be an entire show, for God's sakes. Oh my God, we're 9 minutes left. What role did covert intelligence play in countering the U-boat threat? How did the war in the Mediterranean differ from the North Atlantic campaign? What were the risks of false intelligence in naval warfare? Could the Royal Navy have developed better anti-submarine warfare tactics earlier in the war? That one, that would be an geez. You know what, Tolemykus? It kind of drives me nuts that we don't actually discuss these topics more because they are darn good, darn it. Anyways, I'm going to put on your next one, WNN. They really are. And oops. So let's go with it. Let's go, and then we'll start from scratch. So the best course of action was really. The best answer is B, fire depth charges immediately to ensure UC-12 is destroyed, regardless of who controls it. Whoa, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know they had depth charges back then. No, I didn't. I thought they were still working on them. While sending divers, A, could provide intelligence, it was too dangerous given the unknown presence of enemy forces. Attempting radio contact, C, risked giving away HMS Swift's position. Oh, I didn't think of that. The enemy submarines are falling for a trap. Laying mines, D, would take too long and might not prevent an attack. Oh. Calling for reinforcements, E, could allow the enemy time to escape or use the submarine. Oh. By destroying the wreck immediately, the Royal Navy ensured UC-12 could not be salvaged or used against Allied shipping, removing the potential threat before it could strike. Though intelligence was lost, the strategic advantage of denying the enemy a powerful weapon outweighed its risks. And you say, Tolemykus, that I can always come back to it in the future when you need something to dive. Yes, thank you. You're right. It's a really good idea, actually, once in a while, too. Oh, on a side note. Excellent. Thanks, WNN. The first effective depth charge, the Type D, became operational in January 1916. This was developed by the British Royal Navy during World War I. Oh, thank you. What's the next one going to be? The disappearance of the German gold caravan. What the hell? 1916. And I didn't know anything about that. So anyways, like I said, what did things that we're going to maybe look at? Oh, really? 1913 for the initial development of efforts that led. Oh, really? I'd like to find out more about that. Well, let's see. Now it's going to be too. No. Oh no. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see if we can do it. I know it's maybe a little bit boring. Let's see if you guys not think it's boring. We got 6 minutes. Hold on. I'll see if I can pop it on. I gotta get to it. And maybe we'll talk about it while you guys are watching. Oh my God. And thank you, WNN, for mentioning this as well. Due to the fact that I was rather surprised that there was an article this week, I think even today actually, that says the Americans actually sunk a German U-boat. I'm like, what? I didn't think they did. I thought they scared them off. I never thought they actually did manage to do actually sink a U-boat. So I was rather surprised about that. Anyways, let me see if I can get into the whatever and see what you guys think about it. Yeah, I can't watch the other one. I think it's only 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So let me get to it. So this is events that initiated World War One, and I'll stop the screen. I'll put you down there, and then I'm going to present the screen. You guys can see that. I'm going to get rid of me. Got 5 minutes. We still got enough time. And then there's another one. The first documented instance of a U.S. Navy vessel sinking German U-boat in World War I was the USS Fanning's sinking of U-58 on November 17th. Okay, so even the article this week is wrong. But thanks for that, WNN, because like I said, I remember participating in a talk about a year ago or whatever, and there was no mention of it. So anyways, what did I say that this thing was about before we run out of time here? Events that initiated World War I and an animated map showing involvement of nations from 1914 through 1918. Yeah, we still got a bit of time, and we can chit chat about it, so you guys can see that. I'll put that down there. I don't think there's any. Well, there could be some text. I don't know. Oh, I forgot. Oh, too bad Brian R. Smith could help me out here with the French. I really don't know, Telemykus. Probably just ship guns, I would assume. Oh, really? Thanks, WNN. Yeah, I forgot this was in French. And I'm too slow at translating here. If this is driving you nuts, please let me know. I just thought it would be a little bit of fun to take a look at this. It's only like a quickie, maybe kind of like a recap of the whole war, whatever. I guess that's Sarajevo. Oh, cool. I'll say this, WNN. One thing I've really found rather interesting is what a lot of times when I'm looking at the Mediterranean and whatnot in that area, just like, boy, I would love to see a lot more. Well, I know that I guess the Great War at Sea probably has some modules or scenarios for that type of stuff, but I'd like to see a bit more of that. I'd also like to see a bit more of the, like to see some more amphibious assault type scenarios for the Great War, since I'm now finding out that was done a lot more often. Even found out recently the Germans are even taking the odd little island up towards Riga in the Baltic there. I was like, wow, this is pretty neat to find out. Yeah, I like this, just showing like the thing. Oh, really? Oh, that's so neat. Where are we in this thing? Ah, we're almost done. It's a minute left. And Portugal. Yeah, it was neat to see that Portuguese troops mentioned this week as well. They've been there a while, but it was nice to see. And pretty soon, yeah, I guess we've been seeing that as well. And China's about to pop in. What is Siam, guys? What is that now? Like, what is that considered now? That's it. All right, I'm gonna pop that here. Stop the screen. Put you guys here. Oh, thank you, Meandering Mike. Siam is now Thailand. Thank you very much, and as well as UWNN. Okay, so we're more or less finished up, which is kind of nice. So I can go and eventually put it onto the after hours. So I hope you don't mind. This is what I'd like to do, William Arends. So now that I actually have your ATA there, I'm going to read it, make some notes, see if I can find some compare and contrast material, and I'm going to post do an independent video like in the next day or two or what have you, and that way I can put it up as an independent piece. That's what I like. I really, like I said, it. That's what I would really like to do. So if you ever, like I said, yet again, we'll just go that way. If you're not able to provide material earlier on in the week for me to record, we'll just do it. We'll do it that way. I don't want anybody stressing out. I don't want you stressing out to try to bring the material in at a certain deadline. And I also don't want to do like stressing out and also do like a half-baked job on your material. I want to have a good stuff and be able to start looking at some other stuff. That's really about it. Excellent, William Arends. I'm glad. Yeah, because I want a proper job for your material. Quite frankly, that's it. I'm hoping. Oh yeah. Well, I'll see. I don't know what you wrote in that stuff, but I know that the Kaiser just had a little speech a little while ago, and also for me right now, as you know, the whole Stockholm thing is pretty interesting, and of course, the Russian Revolution, everything that's been going on has been pretty crazy. Anyways, that's it. We're at 12:01. I'm just about to pop on the after hours thing. I don't even know how long it is, for goodness sakes. I didn't even really. I just hopefully if it's up, it's in there. Is it there? Let's find out. Are you? I hope. After hours. Did I not put it in there? Oh, I did, I think. Hold on. Or summary 4. Did I not? Oh, that's going to be interesting. Pretty sure I did. Well, the war summary for 118. There we go. Woo! Harro Bosma. Oh, I've got another, and you got another one. Sorry, hold on here. I'm going to pop your thing. I've got another article ready to go for next week. Excellent. Like I said, what I'll tell you what I'll do, William Arends. Once I've got it completed, I'll say, okay, here we go. I've done that, and we'll go from there. Great to see you as well, Harro Bosma. And I don't know if you're hanging around, but I hope you have a wicked week. And everybody else that's not hanging around, I hope you have a great remainder of your weekend and a great week. And I'm glad to see you as per usual. Let me pop this in here. Present the screen. Yeah, super great to see you, W. And it's been a while, and I was like, oh gosh, I hope you're doing well. I know that you got a lot on your plate. So, anyways, there you go. Boink. And here I go. Present. There we go. And there, I'm going to go into there. Oh yes, I remember. I'm going to turn off my microphone, and that'll be that. Okay. Oh, cool, Harro Bosma. I can text you. Okay, see you in a minute. And here we go, the after hours for live stream 120, the war summary for June 1st to the 7th, 1917. And away we go. Let's see what happens. The Allied armies in France are keeping in touch with the enemy by nightly raids and aerial offensives. Although a lull has succeeded the heavy fighting for Bullecourt on the heights of Champagne and Léon Plateau, the Allies maintain a constant pressure on Hindenburg's front by artillery and aircraft. Tons of explosives are dropped daily by British aircraft on the enemy's lines of communication and works in the rear, causing considerable damage and worrying the Germans, who, it is stated, grow more nervous. The Kaiser's recent speeches at Douai and Tournai, according to the version current in the trenches at Arras, urged the Germans to hate the English and to take no prisoners. The wireless propaganda of the German government singles out Britain for special attack. In the region of Laon and northwest of Reims, lively artillery engagements were fought. The enemy exploded several mines south of Berry-au-Bac and occupied some trench elements which the guns had shattered. In the Champagne region, northeast of Mohol, French troops drove the Germans out of positions gained on Wednesday and consolidated their line. 5 German aerial machines were brought down. On the Belgian front, at Steenstraat and the ferryman's house again, bomb and grenade fighting was more lively than usual. Before Dixmude, the bombardment was intense. On the Carso Plateau, an Austrian force was annihilated in a desperate fight with the Italians at close quarters. The enemy tried to recover lost ground at San Giovanni on the southern section of the plateau. The engagement ended in a hand-to-hand fight. The Italian poet and playwright Gabriele D'Annunzio was in the ranks, inspiring his countrymen in the struggle. The Vienna official report claims a victory for the Austrians in this area. Conditions in Belgium are deplorable. The Hamburg Night warns its readers that living in the occupied territory of Belgium is far dearer than in Germany. The conditions in Antwerp are so bad that the secret traffic in dog flesh has been placed under official control. A large canine slaughterhouse is to be opened, where under civic authority, dogs will be slaughtered for human food. The birth rate for 1917 in the city of Brussels proper is 9.6 per thousand, against a death rate of 22.4 per thousand. The conditions in Brussels are heartrending. The sinking of relief ships bearing food to the starving Belgians was the crowning act of German inhumanity to the Belgian population. British Labour delegates will visit Russia. Oh my God, this is awesome. British Labour delegates will visit Russia to put before the people there the reasons that forced Britain to take up arms. The delegates include James Ramsay MacDonald, oh you darn know it, chairman of the Labour Party, George N. Roberts, Lord Commissioner of the Treasury, and Frederick N. Jowett, president of the Independent Labour Party. Oh my God, I've been reading about this week. This is freaking me out. An authorized statement has been issued setting out the reasons that induced the government to facilitate the journey to Petrograd at this crisis of men of various shades of thought. The British government, the statement declares, has nothing to hide. Oh, bullshit. And courts the fullest investigation into the motives that led Britain to enter the war in defense of the rights of small nations and democracies. 2 of the delegates, MacDonald and Jowett, represent the pacifist socialist section of the Laborites in Great Britain. Holy F, this has got so much to do with also the Stockholm Conference. And, oh yeah, they're really trying to make sure right now that under the guise of, well, not like under the guise of like, you know, put it this way, the government knows who they're sending over there to try to get Russia to stay in the war here. They're freaking out. They're like, no, you got to stay in the war. Anyways, let's just keep going. Oh my God, this is going to be an amazing time. There's so much stuff going on in the background. It's insane. Anyways, the Emperor of Austria opened the Reichsrat at Vienna yesterday by a speech from the throne. The new emperor is making an effort to compose the internal divisions that threaten to disrupt the dual monarchy by constitutional changes that will extend autonomous rights to the several races within the empire. He protested that the war was not sought by the Central Powers and hinted that they were prepared to negotiate peace on terms that would leave the territorial boundaries unchanged. At the moment, when the victorious Italians were driving the Austrians from the Carso Plateau and strengthening their hold on the approaches to Trieste, the Emperor Charles boasted that before the iron resistance between the Alps and the Adriatic, the Italian offensive was breaking to pieces. Remember, even before they were just about Italians join the Allies, the Germans were asking the Austrians, it was like back in 1915, for goodness sakes, asking the Austrians, hey, how about, ceding some territory of the Italians? We can sweeten the deal here and get them all on the over. And I think the Austrians at first said, no. Then they started thinking about it and were like, yeah, okay, we'll go for it. But by then the Italians had already signed something in London or something. Anyways, German intrigues to secure separate peace with Russia are disclosed by Maxim Gorky, the Russian author. The proposals for an immediate armistice and the summoning of the Russian Constituent Assembly came from the Bulgarian minister of Berlin. He intended Gorky to meet him at Stockholm. Gorky characterizes the underhand overtures of the Bulgarian minister as base and stupid. Oh my gosh. And then there's something else. What the grim something affair is about that is happening right now too. Some Swiss dude is going to get in a whole heap of trouble because he's trying to do something off the side, but it was making it look like Switzerland was like trying to do anyways, like pro-German, you know. Anyways, the Socialist Conference at Stockholm is denounced by the Paris temps as the route to a diplomatic Sudan. It points out that the German socialists are incapable of giving the slightest guarantee of peace so long as the army of the Kaiser is not conscious of defeat. Calls on the government to disavow the delegates from France. Oh yeah, and I think from what I've been reading so far, remember, fact check everything, they're shitting their pants right now, man. They're really worried about, like, also with the French mutinies going on. Like, I think a lot of people are going, geez, maybe there's a possibility here that they're gonna, like, we're gonna do some kind of negotiated peace. It's like, no. Brazil has joined the Allies to defend the American Republic. Remember, the Americans are just starting to get there. It's just the Marines and some logistics stuff. Anyways, they defend the, and they're still starving the man. They're not doing, it's not, things haven't kicked in yet. The convoy system hasn't even, like, it's started, they, you know, check marked it, but it's hasn't, like, getting going into gear. To defend the American republics against the world. The Senate voted yesterday in favor of an alliance with other states now at war with Germany. Between 1820 and 1915, the number of German immigrants that settled in Brazil was 122,830. Machine gunners chained and padlocked to their guns were found by the Italians when they captured the railway tunnels to Trieste. In these two tunnels, of about 200 yards each, were found arms and ammunition and numbers of machine guns. A steel chain around one ankle fastened the Austrian gunner to the tripod, and another chain around his waist was attached to the barrel of the gun. The object apparently is to force the enemy, when retreating, to bring his gun with him. Some of the men in the enemy ranks were Romanians. That freaked me right the hell out. What the hell are Romanians doing with the Austro-Hungarians? The Austrians are removing heavy guns from the Armada positions at other points on the Carso where the Italians have got the range. The first phase of the battle began on May 12th, has been brought to an end, and there is comparative quiet along the Eastern Front. The Austrian defenses, which have been captured, are marvels of strength and ingenuity. So that is the 10th battle, correct, of the Osando. On the British Western Front, the number of German prisoners captured for the month of May reached a total of 3,412. In the valley of the Scarpe on the Arras front and in the region of Ypres, the artillery bombardment increased in violence. On the Bapaume-Cambrai road at Boursois and south of Ypres, raiding encounters took place in which the British had the advantage. The bombing of enemy works by aircraft continues day and night. Besides the prisoners taken, the British added to the spoils in May 1 field gun, 80 machine guns, and 21 trench mortars. And we had a picture of that, I do believe, in one of the World War I images of the week. The British, or maybe last week though, the British captured 19,343 prisoners in all during the month of April, including 393 officers, 257 guns, 227 trench mortars, and 470 machine guns. That's a monster. In the Léon region, north of Moulin de la Faux, northeast of Soissons, the Germans attacked and captured elements of advanced trenches, but later were driven from most of the ground occupied. Heavy artillery fire continues in this region. On the Verdun front on Hill 304, German attacks were defeated with heavy losses to the enemy. 2 German airplanes were brought down yesterday by special anti-aircraft guns. They fell inside the German lines. German prisoners captured by the French between April 15th and May 24th number 31,829, of whom 28,045 were unwounded. Holy smokes. Enlistments in Australia from the beginning of the war to the end of April numbered 362,000, or 14% of the male population. That is insane. A conscription campaign is at present, on foot. A strong argument being that the men who fought through the Gallipoli campaign and who are now in France should be relieved by those who have done no fighting. Praise for the Canadian troops who participated in the Battle of Arras is generally accorded by their commander, Sir Julian Byng, who I think just got promoted somewhere. so he's not going to be in charge of the Canadian troops. He contests to the report that the capture of Vimy Ridge was a comparatively easy task, which he says is disproved by the casualties on both sides. The two flank divisions, the 1st and the 4th, had heavy fighting. The crisis in Russia is by no means over. You have no effing clue, dude. Kronstadt, the fortress that defends the approach to Petrograd, is in the hands of the workmen's and soldiers' delegates. The local workmen's and soldiers' council at Kronstadt refuses to recognize the provisional government at Petrograd and has removed all the government officials. Negotiations are on foot to try and persuade the Kronstadt Council to revoke its decision, which was carried by a vote of 210 to 40. As Germany is reported to be preparing for an advance on Petrograd, the situation is far from reassuring. France refuses socialists permission to go to Stockholm to the peace conference. The premier denied, and that's Rebo, the right of any single party to determine for all France the conditions on which peace should be made. Peace can come from victory alone, he declared. Foreign residents in France will not be allowed to escape responsibility to the military laws of their country. Food conditions in Germany must be bad when the German troops are forced to subsist on rations, which equal only 3/5 in weight and value to the rations issued to the British troops. The maximum ration is given to the reserve forces at the rear of the German lines. There are 2 meatless days a week in the German trenches. But remember, that doesn't mean that the British rations are any good. It just means the German ones are 3/5. You know what I mean? It means the British ones could still suck too. Resignation of Lord Devonport as food controllers announced in London. Ill health is given as the immediate reason. Probably stress, man. For some time, the food controller's task has not been lightened by the outcry from various quarters as to soaring prices. The engineers' strike, which has just been brought to an end, was due to dissatisfaction over food regulations that pressed heavily on the workers in some districts. It will be difficult to find a successor to Lord Devonport who can hope to succeed in pleasing all the interests involved. A submarine collision between a British and a German boat is reported by a German paper. It occurred in the English Channel on April 19th. After the collision, the British boat came to the surface with the German boat lying across its bow. The enemy vessel slid back into the water, and both submarines submerged and lost sight of each other. That's insane. 89 airplanes were destroyed in 2 weeks by the French, according to a Paris official dispatch. The French army sets a good example in publishing the names and records of the airmen who have helped to make this record. The supremacy of the air is most vital in a war in which guns play such a dominant part. The situation in Russia, which has shown signs of improvement, is further complicated by a labor demand for a 6-hour workday, which has resulted in the closing down of 120 of the largest factories in Petrograd, most of which are engaged on war orders. Progress has been made by the British in attacks on Sunday morning southward from the Souchez River was not maintained, according to the official report of General Hagus issued last night. Veteran Canadian troops, reinforced by recent drafts from England, played a prominent part in the attacks and were successful in taking a number of strong positions. Dispatches from press correspondents, apparently sent Sunday morning after the first objectives had been gained, speak of them as being held and consolidated. General Haig's report, sent later in the day, says the enemy delivered a number of violent counterattacks with considerable forces in the face of which our troops have been unable to maintain the progress made this morning. It is not clear whether he means that no further progress was made or that the ground taken had to be abandoned. The German report speaks of attacks near Luss at the Souchez River and northeast of Monchy on the Arras front, with fighting still continuing southwest of Lens. Apparently, General Haig's main attempt was directed towards clearing out the ground around Lens and taking that place. The fact that it was not immediately successful need furnish no ground for pessimism. Really. The Germans are fighting now with great desperation to hold the British from further advances and to try to recapture the ground lost lately to France. If they can be compelled to keep fighting on the West Front, the Allies will be satisfied and the Russian front will be less liable to attack. Interesting. Desperate attacks by the Germans against the Vaucluse and Californie Plateau were, because right now, as far as I know, they're shitting their pants, hoping that the Russians do stay in, so that way they can ease the pressure off the Western Front, for Christ's sakes. Beaten back by the French, the enemy leaving many dead and losing some prisoners. Here the aim of the enemy was to reconquer the ground, without which it is impossible for him to withstand the steady advance of the French forces, which recently won brilliant victories along the Aisne River. The claim of the Germans to have captured 1,000 yards of trenches in the Soissons area is not mentioned by the French. The Germans say that they captured here a number of Portuguese soldiers, which we know that are there. This is the first official mention of Portuguese taking part in the battles on the West Front, although their arrival there was recorded some time ago. Darn right, we saw pictures of them. Over 52,000 prisoners, of whom more than 1,000 were officers, 446 heavy and field cannon, 1,000 machine guns, and a considerable number of trench mortars were taken by the British and French armies on the Western Front from April 1st to Saturday, according to a French official statement. Hold on, let me drink something. Of themselves, there would be severe losses, but to them must be added the very large number of German killed in the many desperate attacks made in the old massed formation, with a view to regaining the ground wrested from him, and the possession of which is vital to the lines he is now attempting to hold. His success has been particularly nil. Here and there he has gained a little ground, but none of the important hard-won vantage points have been lost by the Allies. Admitting the German claim of 12,378 prisoners taken in May, and supposing a similar or slightly large number was taken by the foe in April, the war of attrition, of which so much was heard at one time, is still decidedly in favor of the Allies. It must be borne in mind that Germany is the mainstay of the enemy defense. Were she beaten, the armies of her allies would collapse. If any of the latter give way first, it is Germany who must make good their defection, and she has nothing to draw from in men, materials, and money to be named in the same breath with the new Entente ally, the United States. In connection with this phase of the operation, it is interesting to note that Stuart Lyon, the Canadian press correspondent with the Canadians in France, declares that after the heavy fighting of the past 2 months, more than 30 divisions were withdrawn from the German trenches facing the British. This wastage, he says, was greater than had been hoped for when the campaign opened. Mr. Lyon emphasizes a point that has been mentioned several times in recent dispatches, namely that German divisions, once a little over 20,000 strong, are now reduced in numbers. Wastage has not been entirely responsible for this, according to the view of French experts, who say the enemy finds that smaller divisions can be much more easily handled. Isn't this interesting? Especially where trench fighting prevails. But it largely answers the question as to why reiteration of the loss of German manpower should be accompanied by increased numbers of German divisions on the fighting line. Excuse me. A Russian success in Mesopotamia, coupled with the defeat of the Russian Black Sea Fleet in destroying many sailing ships and carrying out operations with landing forces, that is so cool, at a number of Turkish towns, including Samsun, which is a considerable distance beyond Trebizond, is a cheering part of the war budget. News from the Russian forces in any quarter since the revolution has not been of the kind to gladden the hearts of the Allies, and on the European fighting fronts there are as yet no real signs that order has been restored and that the offensive is to be renewed. If this does not come within the next few weeks, golden opportunities of striking decisive blows against the enemy will be lost, and months will be added to the length of the war. The United States mission, headed by Elihu Root, the Root mission, and there is a thing, this is here, has reached Russia. British and French missions are already there. Oh my God, this is all trying to keep Russia in. And members of the Provisional Russian Cabinet are urging the soldiers to resume active operations. This is amazing. I can't believe they're being so candid about it. These influences may have some effect, but for the moment it would seem apparent that the great mass of Russians are lost in dreams of peace agreeable to all, to be had for the asking. In the meantime, there's a gleam of comfort in the statement from the enemy side that Romanian thrusts have been repulsed, and from Petrograd that the enemy's artillery intensively bombarded various points. The Romanian army has been reorganized and re-equipped and is not disposed to remain idle. Reports from the Carso indicate that since Friday night, there's been little but artillery duels between the Austrians and the Italians. The last reported advance by Italian forces occurred on Thursday night, when ground was gained for a depth of 400 yards along a front from 1.25 miles to 2 miles. No mean achievement in view of the terrible nature of the ground over which the advance had to be made. On the Italian front, there was desperate fighting on the Carso, from a point below Gorizia to the sea. The power of the Austrian artillery is illustrated in the Italian admission that their lines on the slopes of San Marco were completely destroyed, after which the Austrians penetrated them. The enemy's stay was of short duration, however, as the Italians quickly drove them out and again consolidated the positions. No details of the fighting outside those contained in the official bulletins are given, but the Austrians seem to have staked a good deal on the attempt to offset the progress made by the Italians towards Trieste. No fighting of outstanding importance is recorded in the dispatches from the Western Front published today. On the British front, outside of actions which is in this war are counted small, the activity was confined to artillery, some emphasis being placed upon its intensity in the Ypres sector and in the neighborhood of Vimy. On the French front, it would appear that the Germans are preparing for another attempt to drive the French away from the heights on the Aisne, won in recent fighting. On their own showing, however, while they claim to have captured some posts and a number of prisoners, the Germans made little or no impression. A feature of the German official reports at the present time is the manner in which trench raids and outpost affairs are constantly treated as actions of magnitude in which the Kaiser's troops are always repulse the enemy. There would seem to be, on the part of the German military authorities, a desire to create the impression that their armies are in constant battle with huge masses of the Allied forces, and that the latter are simply throwing away men in desperation. While the Canadians were not able to hold the positions captured Saturday night and Sunday morning southwest of Lens, they were not driven back beyond original positions held. From one of the most important of the points carried on Sunday, the electrical station, the dispatches inform us that Albertamen reported to their former outposts in a group of ruined miners' houses 70 yards to the west. Hold on. The battle for Lens is not over, nor is the British offensive at an end, notwithstanding the boastings of the Kaiser and his generals. There are many hard blows yet to be struck and received. Many Allied attacks may fail, but the German forces cannot hold back the men of Ypres, the Somme, and the Arras battles. The recapture of a post taken from the British near Cherisy, below Arras, the day after the Germans overwhelmed it, is recorded in the official dispatches published today. It is not safe to prophesy in this war, but the opinion may be expressed that the British raiding and airplane expeditions on a very wide area will soon be followed by another attack on a ground scale as distinguished from the minor, though severe operations of Saturday and Sunday. It is likely that the French forces will move at the same time. The series of strong attacks being made by the Germans against the French just now, and the desperate counterblows against the British, are indicative of determination on Hindenburg's part to win back lost ground if he can, and in any event to try to hold on to his present lines. Another big retreat, such as that he carried out when mists helped to conceal his movements and boggy ground retarded pursuit, may be on the cards, as some dispatches indicate, but the chances that it would be turned into disaster are increasing with the lengthening days. Kerensky, Russia's Minister of War, is quoted as having made a most optimistic speech at Kiev, following a tour of the battlefront. I can affirm, he said, that notwithstanding the destruction of the old discipline, the power of the Russian army is increasing daily, based as it is on a new and intelligent discipline. I can affirm, once for all, that fraternization with the enemy is completely ceased. This statement comes simultaneously with the announcement that at several points on the Russian front, troops have pierced the enemy's wire entanglements and raided his trenches. A year ago, this would have been a certain forerunner of a Russian attack. Today, one can only hope that it is so. The torpedoing of another Spanish ship is recorded with the announcement that Spain has instructed its representatives in Berlin, Vienna, and Constantinople to demand that there be an end to the persecution practiced against the Jews in Palestine. King Alfonso and his government, while not desirous of war, are not afraid to take a stand in the cause of humanity. Increasing efficiency in dealing with submarines will again be shown in the weekly report to be issued today, according to a London forecast, which may be taken as official. This is perhaps the most important news of the day that was crowded with stories of lively fighting in the air, on the land, and at sea. The last week, it is said, has been the most favorable in many respects since unrestricted submarine warfare was recorded. And on one day, Friday, for the first time in many months, not a single loss from this cause was reported among British merchantmen. Excuse me. The report for the week is most gratifying following, as it does, upon the announcement made a few days ago by Kennedy Jones, Director of Food Economy, that Britain's losses in cereal ships has been only 6% against an estimated loss of 23% of this kind of shipping. The French officially report only 10 ships sunk during May out of 28 attacked by the submarines, the other 18 making good their escape. German authorities and commentators will have a considerable amount of explaining to do in the face of the Allies showing. Having formally fixed June 1st as the time by which their U-boats were to bring Britain to her knees, the decrease in victims will give them some food for thought. Oh, pardon the pun. Even if it does not satisfy their physical hunger. There's no inkling from any authoritative British quarter as to whether an increasing number of U-boats have been disposed of or whether any of the reported new devices have given effectual aid in the fight against them. For the present, it is sufficient to know that that the war of the submarine is not so one-sided as it was in the days when the enemy was able to boast of 40, 50, and once 60 ships sunk in a week. A significant item of news in this field of warfare is that more than 100,000 tons of Teuton shipping seized by the United States will be repaired and available for the service of the Allies by July 1st. The shipbuilding program of the United States and Britain, the addition of intern ships with the decreasing losses of vessels already in service, make it reasonably certain that Germany's plan of starving Britain and thus ending the war is already beyond hope of success. Hold on, I'm going to hit the pause button. And here we go again. Canadians now hold the electric power station southwest of Lens, which they won and lost on Sunday. General Hagen, his report last night, confirms the news sent during the day by Stuart Wyan, the representative of the Canadian press. The German can come back, but he doesn't stay as long as he used to. It is obvious that the British will work steadily for the surrounding of Lens rather than attempting costly frontal attacks. The possession of Lens would restore to France great coal fields and thus relieve the pressure on Allied shipping. Intense artillery duels, accompanied by great aerial activity. That's an interesting thing to think about, and thus relieve the pressure on Allied shipping. Intense artillery duels, accompanied by great aerial activity, continue on the West Front. In fact, the British extended to the sea where sharp engagements between a British light squadron and a squadron of German destroyers resulted in the sinking of one of the latter, 7 or 8 of the crew being saved by the British. Tremendous damage has been done by the British air and naval fleets in bombardments along the Belgian coast, and it is not improbable that a German destroyer squadron, which was defeated, was trying to escape from these bombardments rather than seeking to offer battle. As stated in this summary yesterday, signs continue to multiply that a big Allied offensive will soon be inaugurated, presumably near the Belgian coast, than the battles of the last few months. Whether it will be accompanied by an attempted landing on the Belgian coast remains to be seen. Such an event has been a matter of fascinating speculation since the Germans overran the greater part of Belgium. It would not offer the obstacles, particularly in the way of transportation, that had been overcome by the British in other expeditions, and if successful, would be a tremendous factor in starting the Huns back to Germany. A German air raid over Sussex, in which 16 machines took part, resulted in the loss to the enemy of 2 machines, the killing of 2 civilians, and the injury of 29 others. The raiders failed in their attempts to damage naval establishments on the Medway. Another great attack by the Austrians on the Carso resulted in the capture by them of a small section of the ground won by the Italians in the recent advance. The fighting here has been carried on with intensity nearly 3 weeks now, and the Austrian counterattacks are of such a nature as to indicate that the military leaders are in desperate fear that the success gained by their opponents will extend nearer the sea coast, where the better roads for the advance would be secured. The Austrians claim that the Italians have lost 180,000 killed, wounded, and prisoners in this offensive, but at the same time admit the loss of Mount Cook, a position of great importance, and the loss of which they tried to hide, as well as points nearer to the sea. Austrian artillery continues to be very effective in preparing the way for counterattacks, but the Italians are still masters, and there is no reason apparent as yet why they should not win Trieste. Wow. British forces yesterday completed an operation commenced during the previous night north of the Scarpe River, resulting in the capture of enemy positions on a front of a mile, the taking of a number of prisoners. General Haig's brief report of the event says the British gained all their objectives. Greenland Hill, on the western slopes of which the gain was made, is a few miles south of Lens, and the attack of the British may have been made at this time as a purely local operation with a view to straightening out various kinks, or it may be the prelude to another big drive toward Douai. The Germans admit the penetration of their lines at the railway station and report the repulse of the attack elsewhere. Great artillery activity continues on the rest of the British front, and the aerial fighting shows no cessation. The British airmen are paying the price for their activity, the official report last night, referring to 7 of our air machines missing. Further color is lent to speculation as to the probable attempted landing on the Belgian coast by the publication of additional reports of extensive air raids on various of the fortified positions on the coastline, in which the British photographers were able to take pictures showing that considerable damage has been done to the German defenses. And I wonder if this is a lead up for that big attack, in April 1918 in Zeebrugge, there, where they try to sink the ships there and block any of the German fleet coming out or something. On the French front, German attacks continue with tremendous energy in the Aisne sector. Hindenburg is apparently determined to win back, and it's the last page, the ground lost to the French in the hope of staying the inevitable advance. Many attacks were delivered yesterday north of the Chemin des Dames, the French being successful in repelling all except at one point, where they report that the part of the first line trenches remains in the hands of the Germans. The situation is not without its dangers on this front, but the men who smashed the Crown Prince's army at Verdun are not likely to lose the vantage points they have won, and which are essential to their continued success. Official Italian reports admit the Austrian contention of regaining some ground in the southern area on the Carso front. The Austrians claim a victory of some importance and say that they took 6,500 prisoners. The Italians treat it as a withdrawal to a better tactical position. It is obvious that the Austrians have received very considerable reinforcements, particularly in artillery, partly from the Russian front and partly from their naval fortresses. The Allied forces actively fighting are suffering in a more or less degree from the passiveness of the Russians, to whom they are looking every day to start a new offensive. The value of the Austrian heavy artillery has been again amply demonstrated in the fierce struggle now in progress. Enemy forces hurled themselves in vain against many sections of the new Italian line. But where the Italians had not the time to drill trenches in the rocky ground, they had won. Their makeshift defenses were pulverized, and the Austrians gained a footing. We're getting close. Of the 16 or 18 airplanes making the raid on Britain Tuesday afternoon, some 8 were unaccounted for by British flyers at various points over Britain and off of Ostend. That's not very good. The report on weekly shipping losses for Britain, published elsewhere, is satisfactory insofar as losses can be counted as satisfactory. At any rate, it shows a decrease in the number of vessels of over 1,600 tons that were lost and gives hope of a continuous diminution in such losses. All right. Hope that went well, and I hope you have a good remainder of your weekend and a good week, and I hope to see you at Livestream 121. All right. See you later. All right. Here's the ATA for Livestream 118.